Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be listing all of the books I read in 2018, which may sound crazy and like a lot, but I literally was not reading anything until I started my YouTube channel. So I counted it out. It's 25 books total. Um, but that's with four of those being of volumes 1 through 4 of a graphic novel series. And I don't even know how many of these I did on audiobook. So, um, these are not in order. I tried going through Goodreads, but Goodreads sometimes it puts the date that I read stuff on there and sometimes it doesn't. So, stuff was not in order necessarily. And then a lot of stuff didn't make it onto my Goodreads page. Apparently, I'm terrible at actually updating Goodreads because a lot of stuff I was like, I did a video on this. I know I read this, and it was not like it wasn't even marked as like want to read yet. So I had to go through the library's like history to see what I had checked out, but that only shows physical books. And so then I had to go through Libby, which is Overdrive's app that the library uses for digital content, and check that out, like check my history on that. But they switched over to that in like July. So then I had to go to Overdrive's website. Anyway, so these are not in any particular order. You'll see like there's books that I read that are like in a series and one's up here and one's down here, whatever. So the first book on the list, not the first book I read, but the first book on the list is Paper Girls volumes 1 through 4. And this is a graphic novel series that is about, well, I don't have time to go into all of these for 25 books, but it's a graphic novel series. I am sort of liking it. I'm hoping that it'll make more sense once it's over, but right now I'm like, we're 4 volumes in and the story is just getting like more outlandish and doesn't really make any sense. So we shall see. Next was Pachinko. I just talked about this in a video, and I have a video, like a full dedicated video that'll be out in January. So you guys know my thoughts on Pachinko, and we'll know them more soon. The Diviners. Also just talked about this in a video, and eventually we'll probably be doing either a dedicated video on this one or on the whole series. We'll see. The next one I have written down is Pawn of Prophecy, which is the first book in the Bulgariad. And I talked about this in my September wrap-up, I think. It's like if Lord of the Rings was more modern and didn't have all of the singing. I really liked it. I thought it was great. The next one is The Final Empire, which is the first book in the Mistborn series. And I was shocked at how much I loved that one. So I'm excited to read the next one. I actually bought with Amazon Audible credit the second book in the series because there was like 100 holds on it at the library. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. The next one is The President's Missing. This is the one that was written by Tom Clancy and Bill Clinton. And I was kind of disappointed. I mean, it was an all right book, but I kind of expected more. Womp womp. The next one is In a Dark, Dark Wood. Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I liked this one, but it wasn't my favorite. I also read The Girl in Cabin 10 by her, which is further down, and I much preferred that one. Very good. The next book is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. She's the author of the Cinder Chronicles. No, excuse me, the Lunar Chronicles. The first one is called Cinder. And I loved those. I was kind of disappointed in Renegades, if I'm being honest. I just did a video, though. You guys know. The next one is The Rewind Files. This is one, I don't remember the author's name. I will put it on the screen below me. I found randomly, I literally stumbled across it on Twitter. Somebody liked a comment that she made on a thread or something. So she came to my attention and I was like reading through the thread that she did. And at the end, she was like, is this a good time to mention my book? And I read the synopsis and I was like, that totally sounds like something I would like. And I loved it. So yeah, I love the Rewind Files, but it's just so random. And then we have the Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder and Strawberry Shortcake Murder. Those were two of the Hannah Swensen series. It's the first two. I hated those. I have never hated a cozy mystery before. There have definitely been some that I'm like, this isn't great, but it was still entertaining. These were so bad. So bad. Yeah. I've talked about them a bunch. You guys know my thoughts. Where'd You Go, Bernadette? What a fun book. I know this is a really polarizing book. I know a lot of people hated it because she's like super out there, super quirky, super out, like I said, just out there. And I know that's not for everyone. I really enjoyed the book. Like really, really enjoyed the book. So, let's see. I'm kind of all over the place. The Alchemist. I thought I was going to love this book. I've heard nothing but amazing things about it. And I just thought it was so boring. So boring. I couldn't wait for it to be over, and it's like 125 pages. It's not like it's a whole lot of a commitment, but yeah, just not my thing. I've Got Your Number. This one really surprised me. I can't remember the author's name. I'll put it down below. She is the one, she also does, I think she's also the woman that wrote Confessions of a Shopaholic. This is such just like a fluff book. Really, really dumb premise, but it was really cute and entertaining, and it was I think the first physical book I'd read in years. So it was a really great intro to get back into like physically reading. Not like non-audiobook. I don't even mean like paperback versus ebook. I mean like actual not audiobook. And so I'm really appreciative of that. It took me like 6 hours to read something. I mean, it was just a fun little goofy book. I will probably do a video on it, so I'm not going to talk about it more here, but Girl Waits with a Gun. That's the one with, I can't remember her name, but it's got all of the sisters in it, and it's set in New Jersey around the early 1900s, and they're getting harassed by this guy, and he is high enough up in society that people are like afraid to prosecute him or anything. So the oldest sister, takes it upon herself to protect the family. Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? This is, Mindy Kaling has written several books, and I'm not sure where this one falls in like the order of which one she's written, but it was a really fun book. I read a physical copy, so I didn't do audiobook like I normally do, but we were going on vacation, and like 2 days before we left, we're literally going out to a cabin in the middle of the woods that has no TV. I mean, there's a TV, but like no TV signal, so just DVDs. No internet, no cell phone signal. There's not even a landline, nothing. You are completely cut off. And I was like, oh shoot, I need books to take with me. And I just like ran to the library and was like, this looks interesting. And I actually really loved it. Her writing, she does, it's not like a full book, like a full book length story. She does little vignettes. So each chapter is just like a anecdote from her life growing up. And I thought it was super easy to get through, really fun. I read that the same trip as I've Got Your Number. So those were the first two books I had physically read in, like I said, years. So both were super fun to get through, and I really enjoyed it. A Court of Frost and Starlight. I'm losing my voice. This is my 4th video that I filmed in a row. And it's just too much talking. My voice is like, girl, you're normally just sitting around like a house on the couch watching YouTube, not talking. I can't do this. Okay. A Court of Frost and Starlight. This is also written by Sarah J. Maas, who does the Throne of Glass series. She has another series. It's weird. The first book is basically a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. And then it goes off the rails, and it's like completely its own thing after that. So The first book I read in the series, I was like, ooh, this is like a really weird, not great retelling of Beauty and the Beast. But I stuck with it for some reason, and I'm so glad I did because I really enjoyed the rest of the series. This one is like a little novella. So the whole series ended with the book before this one. I can't remember the name. And you're like, okay, great, things are done. Like, they beat the bad guy, whatever. But the series continues with them basically wrapping up, like, the aftermath of this war that they've had, them trying to rebuild everything. And the other books, as far as I understand, this is the first one that's come out. The other books kind of follow other characters. They don't follow just, like, the main two as much anymore. And so this was just a novella to kind of, like, bridge the gap between the first half of the series and the second half of the series, from what I understood. So this was okay. I enjoyed it, but there just wasn't a lot of meat to it, and I didn't do any sort of like rehash of the original series before I read this, so there was a lot of stuff where I was like, I don't remember what they're talking about. So I kind of felt like meh about it. I mean, I probably will be glad I read it when the next book comes out, but at this point I was like, it was okay. Oh, so the next book, let's see if my voice can hold out. I've got like 4 books left. So the next book was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I did a whole video on this, which will be out next month. And then I've already talked about it in another video, so you guys already know my thoughts about this. No mystery. Tower of Dawn. Tower of Dawn is part of the Throne of Glass series, and it's the one that comes before this guy. It took me 2 tries to read this one because it follows 2 side characters who are on another continent. So the book before it ends with this huge cliffhanger. The main character, I don't want to give anything away, but this huge cliffhanger and that involves the main character. And I'm like, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I can't wait for the next book. The next book comes out. I'm so excited. I put a hold on it on the library before they even had copies of it. So that literally I was the first person that got it. It gets there. It gets to my house. I open it up, and it's about these 2 side characters that I don't care about at all. They're like my 2 least favorite characters. And they're on a continent that doesn't even involve any of the other characters. And I'm like, I felt so lied to. I was so upset. And I was like, are you kidding me? It's like 6,500 pages about characters I don't care about. So I got it from the library. I tried like 4 times to read it. I never made it past like page 100, and I gave up. So I had to give it back to the library. Well, I was like, okay, the next one is coming out. I need to read this. Like, a lot of people are like, I'm really glad I read it. It answers a bunch of questions, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine. So I got it from the library, and I read it, and I'm glad I did because it answers a bunch of questions, blah, blah, blah. No, I actually really enjoyed it. It's very slow to start out with. And the main character is really hard to like because he's just being a giant douche. And that gets really old. I can only do that for so long before I'm like, I just kind of hope you die.
Whoa.
I hope the author kills you off. But things progress. It gets better. Stuff starts happening in the book that actually ties into the rest of the story. So I am glad that I read it because it is legitimately part of the story by the end of the book. And it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. But the first like 200 pages were a bit of a slog. But I really don't care about Kale, like at all. Don't care about Kale or Nesrin. I like Nesrin even less than Kale. So a large part of it was I just didn't care about them. Anyway, I am glad I read it, especially now that I'm on to the next one. Like, a lot of stuff that happens in that book ties into this one. So anyway. Okay, and the last 2 books are about Fred my notes are like all the way at the very, very bottom of the page. So I'm trying to read them. they're both Fred the Vampire Accountant books. So the first one is titled The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred the Vampire Accountant. And the second one is Undeath and Taxes. And I did a video, I can't remember if it was a dedicated video about these or if they were in a wrap-up video, but I did a video about these. And I really enjoyed them. They are super light books. Stories are done in little vignettes. It's little mini stories that last like 3 or 4 chapters and then it moves on to the next one. So super easy read. Really enjoyed them. I was very surprised that I liked them as much as I did. So those are the 25 books I've read so far in 2018. I will for sure be finishing Kingdom of Ash, and I don't know. I haven't decided. If you've seen my December TBR video, you know I'm like torn about what I'm going to read the rest of the month. But anyway, so that's where I'm at so far. Today's the 4th of December, so we still have some time. I still have 27 days. Do a lot of reading in that time. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe before you leave. That way you don't miss any content. And until next time, happy reading. Posing for thumbnails, stop it. I have a zit on the side, so I was doing all my videos facing this, or all my thumbnails facing this direction. I was like, oh no, I gotta face this direction. We don't need to be like, shh.